What has been the best first date you went on? I was meant to go on a date with a guy I'd liked for ages, but I got suddenly dramatically sick and ended up in hospital. I messaged the night before to cancel, and when I explained why, he was like, "Obviously, I'll just come and visit you." Being hospitalized, I wasn't at my best. I probably looked the worst I'd ever looked. He turned up with a book of 100 unbelievable facts because he figured the done thing was to give books to people stuck in the hospital, and that had been all he'd had at hand. The staff immediately started harassing him about whether or not he was my boyfriend, and then he sat through a really lengthy, over-the-top lecture about a medical condition that I have. His only response to the whole thing was that I was beautiful, and it had been good not to miss out on spending that time with me. Anyway, I married him. Last weekend, I had my best first date ever. A common acquaintance kind of set us up. We initially wanted to go for a walk, but it was raining heavily. So she picked me up at the train station, and we went to her place. The moment I entered her room, I saw 5 books that I read and liked. Off to a good start. We talked for hours, and when we looked at the time, figured we'd better get something to eat, so we ordered some sushi. Always fun eating with chopsticks. After that, we both felt like going for a walk, so we took that walk and had a lot of fun. After that, went to her place again for a drink. Talked for hours again. Totally forgot the time and almost missed my last train home. The date lasted for over 8 hours, and it was honestly my most enjoyable first date ever. To be continued. Edit. We kissed at the end and immediately made plans for a second date next Saturday. I remember how I used to be depressed, maybe more just annoyed, that my stock answer for questions like these was a really fantastic date that I'd been on back in 2013. We matched on Tinder when I was home for Christmas, but didn't live in the area. I made that clear, but she didn't care. Literally said, "Whatever, you seem fun. Want to grab a beer sometime this week anyways?" We went on 3 really great dates. On that first date, we talked for hours. Ended up getting told the bar was closing and we had to leave. I just really clicked with her, on a level you don't with most people. But since we lived on opposite sides of the country, literally, Portland, Oregon, and Savannah, Georgia, I figured it was a wash and didn't really pursue much. We stayed in casual contact and both went on to date other people and live our lives. I always kind of knew in the back of my head it was a big what if and felt like a major league missed connection. I remember in 2015, a friend saw me texting her out at a bar one night and asked who I was texting. I explained the background and insisted I didn't have any designs when he pressed me a little. He asked if we lived in the same city, if things might be different. I kind of jokingly said, "Oh, 100% would be trying to wifey her up if I lived closer." It turns out that I wasn't joking quite as much as I thought. In 2016, I moved to the West Coast, a different state but technically closer, and now we will be celebrating our 3rd wedding anniversary this summer. I met a guy on Tinder. He was dreamy in his pictures. We texted for a couple weeks. I had just moved to that area, so I wanted to make sure he wasn't some creepy weirdo. We got to know each other pretty well, so I agreed on a first date, watching the sunset on the river after work. My apartment at the time shared a parking lot with some other local businesses, so I had him pick me up outside one of the storefronts. We drove 3 miles down the road to where the pull-off was. He brought chairs for us to sit in and a couple beers, and we sat and enjoyed the sunset. The date was going really well. You could tell he was nervous around me, so I asked if we could go for a drive. He had Jeep with the doors and top off. We went for a drive down the river and I was singing my heart out. I kept seeing him peeking at me. I told him to pull off at another area and we just unloaded on each other about our past, what we wanted, what we saw for our futures, etc., etc. It was going so well. On the way back to my place, I made him pull over. I grabbed his face and kissed him. We get married in 26 days. Edit. Thank you, everyone. Sorry to disappoint you that we didn't bang on the first date, not our style. I was heading home from shooting senior pics at a nearby college campus, and on a whim I thought, what are the chances this girl is able to get together right now? I texted her at 8. I know this is ridiculous, but what are the chances you're able to meet a complete stranger at the nature realm for a bit? Like now? I promise we'll go on a real date soon. She said she could be there at 8:30. It got dark fast. She brought wine in her Yeti mug and we wandered back to a bench somewhere and proceeded to make inappropriate jokes about how easy it would be to hide a body bag at anywhere in the park. She tried to one-up me at every comment, and really, she's way too pretty to not know better. Gorgeous girl, ready in 10 minutes, brings wine, makes inappropriate jokes. Come on, that just doesn't happen. That was 1 year ago yesterday. Can't wait to see her at 5 p.m. today. She's going to help me dig the trench to run conduit to my garage, then I'm going to cuddle the crap out of her till morning.